Hello, this is Mark from tradingforum.com and welcome to this video on how to set up alerts from your MetaTrader 4 terminal to be received either as sound files from your computer or as an email file that you can pick up on a smartphone, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry while you are somewhere else in your house or while you are out and about. For many traders, one of the biggest problems, particularly part-time traders, but also full-time traders, is having to sit in front of the screen and watch what is going on. Often, if you're looking for very specific entry criteria, these may only occur a couple of times in an entire day. Sometimes they will occur at times when you may be having dinner, you may be picking up your children from school, you may be at another job. So it is not always possible to be in front of the screen, especially for Forex traders with a market that's open 24 hours a day. So one of the great things about MetaTrader 4 is it gives us the ability to send alerts, the easiest being a sound alert that tells us something is happening and we should have a look at our charts. So the most easy way to do this is using the inbuilt function, the inbuilt alert function in MT4. We can do this by just going onto our terminal control, going into alerts, clicking on create, and now we can just create a sound alert. I'll set it to the Euro US dollar. I'm going to say when the bid price is greater than, let's say, 126. Make this an alert. I'm going to have a timeout of 10 seconds. I'm going to tell it to, the timeout refers to how long before it repeats, and the maximum number of iterations is how many times it is going to repeat. So I can click on test and we can hear the noise, and I can click on OK. Now we can see we've got a red arrow indicating the point at which beyond that we will have our sound alert. This is obviously quite useful, but if we want to keep an eye on this price, but we don't want to be sitting down here because it might take 5 minutes, but it might take 5 hours. So what we can do then is we can basically turn our MT4 terminal into an email server. And we do this via an email account that we already have. I'm using the example of Yahoo here. We set up our survey. You might be able to see these settings, but of course any email account that you either have at the moment or want to set up, you need to find out your server settings here. In this case it is smtp.mail.yahoo.com and port, which we put in a colon of 465. The login is the email address that you want to use, obviously the password for that, and then what I've done here is I've set up the email to email itself, so it will be sent both from and to this Yahoo account. Once that's set up, we can now go back to our alerts. I can change from sounds to mail. I'm going to keep the conditions and the symbol exactly the same, but I can set up an email message here, and I'm just going to put Euro USD above 126. This time I'm only going to have one iteration. I don't want it to send me multiple emails, and I'll just click OK. So everything there is exactly the same. I could set up both a sound and a mail depending on whether or not I'm sitting in front of my terminal like I am now, or whether I'm away or out of the house. This is all very good. Many of you will already have been able to do this. This is a nice little function for on MetaTrader 4, but what a lot of people want to do is not look at whether the price is above or below a certain value, but rather what a technical indicator is doing. So we've got a whole range of indicators that are built into, that come with MetaTrader 4, and we can have custom indicators of endless types and varieties that we can import into MetaTrader 4. If we want to use one of these indicators to set up either a sound or an email alert, then we have to use an expert advisor. And we open up our Meta Editor software editor, and what I've got here is a very simple alert system. It doesn't do any trading, doesn't do anything except either or both set up a sound alert or set up an email. Now I'm just going to very quickly, for those of you who are interested, go through the code that I've used here, which is very simple. It can be easily edited, and anybody really could do this. So the first thing that I'm setting up here is a value called bars count, and I'm using this so that we only have one email per alert. We don't want to have endless emails constantly telling us, or sound alerts for that matter, telling us the same thing. The next thing, I'm going to scroll down here to the tick function, and I'm using the example of the MACD indicator. This is a built-in function for MetaTrader 4, so we can use the function MACD to set this up in the Expert Advisor. What we're doing is checking whether or not we have either a crossover from above to below, or a crossover from, in this one, from below to above the zero line. If I could just open this up again. So what we're looking for is whether or not this red line here, the signal line, is crossing over as it is here, approximately this point on the chart, and also on this point, and it's crossing above. So when the indicator does this, we will have one email saying, have a look at the charts. There could be an opportunity for trading. So going back here, I've set it to say we'll only send one message, and that message will occur when our current MACD is greater than 0 and the previous bar. The MACD for the previous bar is below 0. What I'm going to tell it to do is do two things. First of all, sound an alert. Bring up the little message box with a noise on MT4 so we can hear that if we're at the computer, telling us what's happened, MACD crossover long. And we're going to send a mail at the same time, and we use the function for that of send mail. And we're going to say the message is just going to be in the title of MACD long crossover. If I wanted to, I can use this area here to add more information into the message body. The second one here is looking at the opposite situation where the MACD crosses below the 0 line. And this time we get a slightly different message that says we have a potential for a short. Now, I'm not advocating in particular using the MACD for trading, but it is just, in this case, a good example of a time when it might be good for us to look at our charts if we're looking at MACD crossovers. Okay, so what I do with this then is I compile it, shows that I've got no errors. I go back to the terminal, and now under my expert advisors, I have this one here, which is called Trade Informed Indicator Mail Alert. I drag that over here, and I press OK. Now I'm going to give it a smiley face just for the sake of it, really, because it will send the alert whether or not it has a smiley face. So there we have it. We have our indicator that will be checking constantly. At any time we have a crossover of the MACD. We could set it for a particular time of day. In fact, we could set it for any number of other criteria, including other price information, including other technical indicators combined with it. But here we've got just a simple alert that will send a message that we can pick up using a smartphone and use that to switch on our charts and pay attention. Now, if you're interested in the very simple expert advisor, there are a few other things that you could do with it. Of course, you could, if you want to have variable settings, you want to try different settings, you can put in a variable here. So we could put it in as an input, and it's an integer, and we'll replace the fast EMA value of which is 12 currently, and just copy that variable and we'll stick it in here. So now we have the opportunity directly from our terminal to tweak the values of our fast EMA on the MACD. Other things you could do is, if you don't want, for example, if you're at your desk and you don't want the mail setting, just put in 2 forward slashes and you'll see it grayed out, and it won't do that. It won't send the email. Again, you can do it here. Likewise, if you don't find the alert value useful, just get rid of that. Okay, so I think this is almost anybody with an interest in trading will be able to make use of this, take this very simple framework and adapt it for their own use. If you'd like to download the actual file that I'm using here, there is a link below to the accompanying article on the tradingform.com website, and from there you will have a link that you can enter your email address and get sent a download link where you can get this file from. Now, if you'd like more information about using MetaTrader 4, using Excel, and generally trading the financial markets, please go to www.tradingformed.com.